Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Zidan Ristian, student number 42 from language assessment class B. Okay, in this time we learn about uh, assessing speaking skills material, and I will explain about 2 points of it. There are interactive speaking and extensive speaking. Okay, let's start with interactive speaking. Thanks to the mutual action relate influence interrelationship. Interaction occur because of causal relationship, namely action and reaction. Also, interactive tasks are what some would describe as interpersonal, while the latter category includes more transactional speech events. In interactive speaking, we when we assessing speaking when we assessing when we are assessing interactive speaking, we have 3 points in this part. They are interview, role play, and discussion and conversation. Okay, in interview point, I'll explain it. When oral production assessment is mentioned, the first thing that comes to mind is an oral interview. That is, a test administrator and a test taker sit down in a direct face-to-face exchange in procedure of a protocol of question and directives. The interview, which may be tape recorded for a real listening, is then scored on one or more parameters such as accuracy and pronunciation and or grammar, vocabulary usage, fluency, social linguistics or pragmatic appropriateness, task accomplishment, and even comprehension. Interviews can vary in length from perhaps maybe 5 to 14 minutes depending on their purpose and context. Placement interviews designed to get a quick spoken sample from a student in order to verify placement into a course may need only 5 minutes even if the interview is trained to evaluate the output accurately longer. Comprehensive interviews are designed to cover penultimate oral production context and may require the better part of an hour. Every effective interview contains a number of mandatory stages. Okay, we go to the point 2. That is role play. Role playing is a popular pedagogical activity in communicative language teaching classes. Within the limits set by the guidelines, if it frees students to be creative in their linguistic outcomes. As an assessment tool, role-playing opens several windows of opportunity for a test taker to use this course that might be difficult to obtain. Role-playing can be controlled or guided by the interview, and this technique takes test taker beyond simple intensive and responsive levels to a file of creativity and complexity that approximate the real-world pragmatics. The test administrator must determine the scoring objective of the role play, and then design assessment technique that appropriately address those goals. Okay, and the third is discussion and conversation. As a formal assessment tool, discussion and conversation with and among students are difficult to define and even more difficult to grade. But as informal techniques for assessing learners, they offer a level of authenticity and spontaneity that other assessment techniques may not provide. Discussion may be a very appropriate task to acquire and observe abilities. Okay, we go to the second. No. The last material of assessing speaking skills. That is that is extensive speaking. Extensive speaking tasks involve complex, relatively lengthy stretch of discourse. There are frequently variations on monologue, usually with minimal verbal interaction. Okay, the first the first is oral presentation. In the academic and professional arenas, it wouldn't be uncommon to be called on to present a report, a paper, marketing plan, a sales idea, a design of a new product, or a method. For oral presentations, a checklist or grid is a common means of scoring or evaluation. Okay, the next is uh, picture cute storytelling. One of the most common techniques for eliciting oral production is through picture, photograph, diagrams, and charts. We have already looked at this elicitation device for intensive tasks, but at this level, we consider a picture or a series picture as a stimulus for longer story or description. The third one is retelling a story, news, or news event. This differs from a paraphrasing task discussed above in that it's a longer stretch of discourse and a different genre. The objective in assigning such a task vary from listening comprehension to of the original reproduction of a number of oral discourse features, fluency, and interaction with the hearer or listener. The last one is translation of of extant prose. The advantage of translation is in the control of the content. Without a non-specialist or language ability on such skill may be completely invalid, especially if the test taker has not engaged in translation at this level. Criteria for scoring should therefore take into account not only the purpose in stimulating the translation, but the possibility of error that are unrelated to oral protection ability. That's enough from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.